Hello, and welcome to Passively Rich with Rentals, the podcast that helps busy people invest in real estate out of state. We're all busy working professionals, and sometimes we just want to hit the easy button. And that's what this podcast is all about. And my goal is to help you take action and become an investor. So today's episode is going to be really quick, but a client of mine asked me this question. We had an introductory phone call, and he asked me this question, and I wrote it down, and I said, hey, I'm going to do a podcast episode about that. And he said, please do, because if I'm asking this question, there's probably others asking it as well. So the question is, I'm going to read it. He asked, how do I know if a property is good? How do I trust the area? I want less risk, but my question is all about trust and buying out of state. So that's a really good question because it's pretty common. So number one, to kind of make it as simple as possible, I'm going to preface this when you are working with me, because if you are out there solo doing this on your own, let's say you want to invest in a market, I'm going to say Kansas City. So you don't know Kansas City. You may or may not have contacts in Kansas City. You might find a realtor. Let's say you found a realtor out there and the realtor says, hey, I'm pretty amazing. I know this market. I'm going to help you get a property. Well, you have to have trust in the realtor. The realtor is going to show you random properties on the MLS, and you don't know who the seller is. You don't know what's been going on in the property. There isn't a lot of knowns. And then you're going to have to go out and find your own property manager. So you're going to have to do all of that work yourself. So that is a big vetting out process, and a lot of room for error, a lot of room for risk and time. Quite frankly, go for it if you want to do that and you want to create another job for yourself. This is where I come in with what I do with Passively Rich for Rentals. So I've been an investor myself for a decade, and I've been helping clients invest in properties out of state for a decade. Shortly after I started investing out of state, everybody went, hey, Melissa, how are you doing this? I want to do that too. I live in California, a market that does not make sense for investors for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's not landlord friendly. And number two, the math doesn't math here. I'm not going to buy an $800,000 property and rent it out for $2,500 a month. That's just not part of my strategy for cash flow. So I started looking in affordable markets like Alabama and markets like Little Rock and Memphis, Tennessee and Kansas City and Ohio and different markets like this where they are landlord friendly and the markets make sense. So I started investing in these markets and everybody went, hey, how are you doing this, Melissa? I want to do this too. So I started helping people do it. And I've helped over 2,000 people in the last decade actually buy and close on rentals. I'm not talking about clients who I helped coach. The number is much, much larger than that, but 2,000 people have actually taken action and bought rentals. So that is where I am coming from in this conversation. Now, I have built out a process, a system, and the system is really, how do I invest in markets out of state as risk-free as possible? And so that comes down to the people, the process, and the properties. So again, I've done the work for you. I've done the research. I've been watching these markets for the past decade. Now, the cool thing about these markets is they don't really change a lot. I like markets like that. I like the boring markets. I like the markets where historically the average appreciation is 3 to 4%. We're not looking at really high markets where they appreciate really high, and then if there's a market change, they drop really low. I'm not interested in those markets. I'm interested in markets like St. Louis, where one of my partners there just told me over 50% of the population rent. Most of the markets that I'm in and help clients buy in are markets like that. So we've got high rental demand, we've got job diversity, we've got a lot of blue collar job options. So number one, I've been tracking these markets. I know where the best rental markets are. And if I'm working with you and you're one of my students and you're able to work with me to pick out some of these properties, these are the markets that I am picking. So number one, yeah, go for it. Do it all yourself. Go do the market research yourself. I've done it for you. Not only that, but I have the stats and the data to give to you. I have the information from property managers that I have vetted out in these markets. So that's part two, is the people. So we've got the markets that fall under the property, then we've got the people. They're part of your team. So that's property management. So in each of these markets, I have vetted out property managers who have done a great job for myself and the client and my clients over the past decade. Now, these property managers have access to this type of data. You know, what is the vacancy in the area? How long does it take to place the tenant? How long do properties stay vacant? What are the best areas? All of these things, they have actual, the real data, the real information, and proof of time. So I've been with some of these property managers for a decade. I've been recommending clients to these property managers for a decade. So I hear about it. I see it. I talk to clients every day. I'm like, hey, how's your property in Memphis doing? How's your property in Kansas City doing? And they tell me. So I want the live feedback, what their property is doing, how it's performing, and how's the property manager working out for you. So I've got that data as well. And in fact, I track it. I did a case study where I took, I think it was about 75 properties, and I wanted to see how these properties were performing for the last decade with my clients' properties they closed on. So number one, again, we've got the markets. Then we've got the team, the people, the property manager. So we've got the data, we've got the information for you. Then what about the property itself? So I work with properties that are already renovated. I've got two systems where you can either buy a property that's already done, it's turnkey, it's renovated by a vetted out partner. Now, this is really, really important. There's tons of people out there that are doing new construction or flips, and they may or may not know what they're doing. I work with teams that I have been working with, again, for the last decade, who have proven that they can do this and they do it really well. I see the inspection reports. I know what they look like. If there was problems with builders, I would not recommend them to you. I would not buy them myself. So again, it comes down to the vetted out teams. So that's what I'm coming from, is when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the people that I know, the people that I've built relationships with, and then who I share with my clients so that you can be as successful as possible and as risk-free as possible. So that's the overlying premise here that I'm talking about. Now, to answer this question specifically, how do I know if a property is in a good area and that I can trust the area and the property manager? So again, we're going to go back to the source. So the teams that I work with and have vetted out, okay, they have, number one, the property's been newly renovated. You are going to be able to get inspections done. You should. In fact, I don't care if you buy a property with me or not, or if you buy a property out there, go for it on your own, on your MLS, get an inspection done and make sure that the contract allows you to cancel if you're not happy with the inspection. Now, when you're working with myself, I have already pre-negotiated expectations for the inspection. So what does that mean? So if you go out there and buy a property on the MLS, you don't know who the seller is, you don't know if there was work done, you don't know if they're going to do the repairs, and they're certainly not going to warranty the repairs, at least most of them don't. So when you're working with myself and my teams, so number one, you're going to get an inspection done. And when that inspection report comes back, guess what you're going to do? You're going to send that report right back to the contractor and you're going to say, hey, take care of everything on this list, particularly the items that the inspector called out for safety or deferred maintenance. Now, the teams that I work with know you're going to do that. So number one, they try to take care of it all for you in advance, but humans are humans, subs are subs, some things happen, some things get missed. So let's hold everybody accountable. They know when you're working with me that you are going to send that inspection report back to them and they are going to fix and take care of these items for you. We are not going to say, hey, let's negotiate the price and I'll get these fixed later. No. I want you to have a property that is as maintenance free as possible from the day you close. So we are going to get those repairs fixed and taken care of. before closing, and we want to see proof that they were fixed and taken care of. Okay, you guys, then those items are now going to be warrantied. So that is the big thing. So again, one of the awesome systems that I have in place for you. So that takes care of some of the risk. Now, the question particularly is about the area. Okay. So again, we are going to rely on my local vetted out property managers. And I would say this to anybody, whoever you're working with, whoever your property manager is, they have the information, they have the data. You guys, if you go do a random search online and you say, what are the crime stats for this area? What does that number even mean? First of all, they're going to take a zip code, an entire zip code. They might narrow it down, but a lot of these areas, it's really fascinating. When I was driving around the South, I was blown away. I had never seen anything like this before. You would go down one street and it looked like an A-class area. Or I would say, hey, this is a cute street. I would live here. You can go one street over and I'm like, whoa, this is not an area that I would live in. You see the cars up on the blocks and houses with, boards all over the windows. And I would be like, I wouldn't live here. One block away. So how do you as an investor determine okay, is this a good area or not? So the question you should be asking is, what type of tenant am I attracting? So number one, what is the rental amount? That automatically is going to determine the type of tenant that you get. Because if you're using, again, a good property manager who is vetting out the tenant, most of the property managers that I work with, the tenant has to make 3 times more than the rental amount is. So let's say the rents are $1,000. Well, their income has to be 3 times that. So that automatically qualifies the tenant. Now, the type of tenant you get, the lower income, the higher risk they are. And the reason for that is because their job may or may not be as stable. Okay. And so you want a stable renter that has a long-time job. That's the property manager's job, to do the background work and see how long have they been working at this job? How long have they, been with this employer? If you have an employee that's been there for a long time, that's pretty stable. The other one is the income amount. If they have a higher income, they're generally going to be a little bit more stable, which guarantees that, well, we can't say guarantee in real estate ever, but it heightens the risk of them not paying. Okay. So when you go into an area that has higher rents, most likely you're going to have a better quality renter. Again, as long as the property manager is doing their job and they are managing and doing the background check with that tenant. Okay. So what we want to look for is high rental demand. We want to look for a little bit higher rents. We don't want to be in the areas that have the lowest rent unless you have a really high risk tolerance and that's the type of investment you want to do. Go for it. That's not what I believe in. I believe in being in a little bit better areas, better quality renter, or we can raise the rent more often and your cash flow is going to go up when we can raise the rent as much as possible. So you guys, the answers all come down to trust. Okay. If you don't want to do the work yourself and go out there and do all the market research and build your own team, then you need to find somebody that you can trust, who has done it, who has the experience, and who has the teams that they can share with you. So hello, that is me. That is what I do. That is what I give to you guys, the investors, is I help you become an investor. So I want to educate you. I want to help you pick your strategies and your goals, and then to help you take action. That is the big piece. You have to be able to take action. All of this education is meaningless. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not meaningless. Education is great. But I've seen so many investors sit in analysis paralysis for years. You guys, I am not even joking. This is a real scenario where people just sit there and go, they make up excuses why they can't do it. Oh, it's the interest rate. Oh, it's this, or, oh, I have to fly to the market and I can't get there until spring break, or, we come up with excuses for ourselves. But at some point, you guys, you just have to jump in and take action. And I want you to do it with training wheels, which is exactly the systems that I have put in place. I've done the work for you, the best markets, the best areas, the best teams doing the renovation, the best property managers. All you have to do is take action and say, hey, Melissa, help me buy a property. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do. I'm going to hook you up with lenders that are licensed in these areas, that have phenomenal rates. And I'm basically going to hold your hand like training wheels, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process so that you can be as successful as possible. So I hope that answered your question. It really comes down to trusting who you're working with and also leaning on the property manager and their expertise and their data. They have real-time data that you are not going to find on any Google search. So that's probably the biggest takeaway that I could say out of this episode. So anyways, the call to action for you guys today is I want you to join my free community. I just started it. Inside the free community, you are going to find a free course that is in there. It is 3 days to find to your, what did I call it? It's like 3 days to your first rental property. And it basically kind of walks you through goal setting, and it walks you through the steps, what it would look like for you to buy your first property and how to take action. So that's inside the community. I also have all kinds of information, all kinds of freebies. I'm trying to stack this with information. So there's going to be a bunch of done for you resources in there. But then come January, I want you guys to join because it's free. And come January, I can have some really exciting stuff in there. I'm going to have case studies. I'm going to have examples of properties. I'm going to have interviews with special teams that you can only find inside this community. I'm going to bring in lenders. I've got checklists. You guys, I'm telling you all kinds of stuff. And then I have a really cool new program that I'm introducing very, very, very soon for those of you who want to take action and you want to actually build a portfolio. That is something really exciting that is going to be popping off in there. So anyways, I want you guys all to join the community because that's where it's all happening. And I will be active in there come January. There's going to be all kinds of stuff on the calendar in there and weekly events that I am so excited about. So the link is in the show notes. It is a community inside school. It's a separate platform. It's really cool. So I want you guys to click on that link in the show notes and I will see you in there. And again, if you found this episode helpful and you want to share it with somebody, please do. I am trying to grow this podcast. It's a new podcast. And so I've got a link in the show notes. You can leave me a rating. That would be amazing. I know it's a pain in the butt to leave a rating, but I really, really, really could use that to help grow. The more ratings, the more listeners I'm going to get. And then also, of course, sharing the episode. So if there's somebody that you think in your life would like to listen to this episode or some of my others, then please share it with them. And I am so excited to see you guys all in my new community, Passively Rich with Rentals. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you again for listening.